comes a moment in every believer's journey when the world looks down on you, mocks your struggle, doubts your potential, and calls you foolish for choosing faith over fame. They notice your small start, your empty hands, your quiet prayers. But what they fail to see is the divine seed planted deep within you. What they cannot see is that God is building a stage so magnificent that when He raises you up, no human hand will be able to claim the glory. For when God decides to bless you, when He uses abundance to reveal you to the world, every eye that once ignored you will witness what happens when heaven promotes a person. Right now, some people are wondering why your life feels still, why your path looks barren, why your work goes unnoticed. But God has placed you in a hidden process. You are concealed, not because you are forgotten, but because you are being formed. God always hides His treasures before revealing them. He refines His chosen ones in the wilderness before positioning them in the palace. The world worships wealth as an idol, but God uses wealth as an instrument to establish His glory, to reveal His power, and to prove that when He blesses a person, He does it in a way no human hand could ever do. Do not let the whispers of doubt deceive you. God has not abandoned you in your season of lack. He is testing your faith, refining your character, shaping your integrity. Because wealth without wisdom destroys. Prosperity without purpose corrupts. But when God is the giver, wealth becomes a tool of transformation. God does not bless you just so you can have more. He blesses you so you can become more generous, more faithful, more impactful. And when He decides to use wealth to introduce you to the world, it will not be ordinary. It will be divine, strategic, unstoppable. Some of you have been wondering why doors haven't opened yet. You've prayed, you've worked, you've waited, and still it feels like your effort goes unnoticed. But God says, I am preparing wealth in places you cannot see. He is aligning opportunities, connecting people, positioning hearts. You see only silence, but God is scripting a divine unveiling. When the time comes, it will look like an overnight breakthrough. But in truth, it was years of divine orchestration. God was writing a story where you once forgot become a vessel of His abundance. You must understand something powerful. God does not give wealth to those who chase money. He gives wealth to those who chase purpose. When your heart is aligned with God's will, He will place resources in your hands that make the world take notice, not to glorify you, but to glorify Him through you. People will look at your life and wonder how it happened, how you rose from struggle to success, from nothing to overflow, and you will simply say it was God, because you know it was never your strength, your education, or your connections. It was divine favor. There are men and women in this world right now whom God is preparing quietly. He is placing them in hidden places, training them through hardship, teaching them humility and lack, because when the wealth comes, they must remember who gave it. You are one of them. You have felt invisible, overlooked, underestimated. But soon, God will shift your season. The same people who said you would never make it will witness your rising. The same people who mocked your faith will see you walk in divine provision, because God is not only the creator of heaven and earth, He is also the revealer of destiny. There will come a moment when God will say now, and when He speaks that word over your life, everything will align. Business doors will open. Ideas will multiply. Helpers will appear. And your name will begin to echo in places you've never been. That's not luck. That's divine introduction. When God uses wealth to introduce you to the world, it's not about flaunting success. It's about displaying his power through your story. It's about showing the world what happens when a person stays faithful even when nothing seems to work. There's something sacred about the way God works. He allows delay to purify motives. He lets struggle expose pride because he will not put his glory in a vessel that will steal it. So when you are faithful in your little, when you honor him in your hidden season, he begins to trust you with more. And when that more comes, it's not small. It's beyond imagination. It's wealth that carries purpose. It's abundance that changes lives. It's success that echoes eternity. God will use wealth to give your voice influence. He will use it to spread wisdom, to fund goodness, to uplift the broken. That's why he trains your heart before he fills your hands. Many cry for blessing, but are not yet ready to carry it. Because true wealth is not just money, it's impact, it's legacy. It's the ability to touch lives beyond your reach. When God blesses you, he does not just fill your bank account, he fills your life with meaning. Maybe you've been overlooked because of your simplicity. Maybe people walked away when you had nothing to offer. But the same God who lifted Joseph from a prison to a palace is still alive. The same God who turned a shepherd boy into a king has not changed. He sees your quiet labor, your hidden obedience, your silent tears. He knows the nights you couldn't sleep because the vision in your heart was too heavy to ignore. And he whispers, "Be still. Your season of divine wealth is coming." When it arrives, it will not come with chaos. It will come with clarity. God will not bless you to impress people. He will bless you to express his glory. Every door that was once closed will open on its own. You won't have to fight for recognition. The world will come looking for you. Because when God endorses someone, no man can ignore them. He will take you from the back of the line and put you in front. He will take your name from silence to influence. And the same world that doubted you will call you blessed. God uses wealth as a language of testimony. It speaks louder than words. It shows that obedience is not in vain. It proves that faith produces fruit. When he blesses you, he does it in such a way that your success becomes a sermon. People see your growth, your peace, your favor, and they're drawn not to you, but to the God who did it. That's why you must stay humble when the blessings begin. Because the higher you rise, the more you must remember who lifted you. Don't ever apologize for the favor of God. Don't shrink your light to make others comfortable. When God begins to use wealth to introduce you to the world, it's not arrogance, it's alignment. You are not showing off. You are showing what happens when a life stays surrendered. Let your life be proof that obedience pays, that faith works, that trusting God produces results. The world needs living testimonies, and you are one of them. The reason you went through struggle was not punishment. It was preparation. God allowed lack to teach you gratitude. He allowed rejection to teach you focus. He allowed disappointment to teach you dependence. Now, when wealth comes, it will not corrupt you. You will remember the valley. You will value the blessing, and you will use it for good. God is not just about giving. He builds your character before he builds your empire. There are people who will look at your success and call it sudden, but you will know it wasn't sudden. It was sacred. You will know it was the result of countless prayers, hidden faith, and divine timing. That's why you must not envy others. Everyone's divine introduction comes in its appointed time. Some are introduced through wisdom, others through service. But you God will introduce through wealth, because he knows that your wealth will carry your purpose, your message, your legacy. Listen carefully. When the blessing begins, it won't just bless you, it will bless generations. The wealth God is preparing for you has a voice. It will speak long after you are gone. It will feed the hungry, build hope, lift families, and remind the world that faith still works. That's why the enemy tried to break you before the blessing. He wanted you to give up before your unveiling, but you didn't. You kept believing. And because you endured, you are about to enter a season where everything changes. God is not against wealth. He is against idolatry. He is not against success. He is against selfishness. When your heart stays pure, he can trust you with more. He will put ideas in your mind, people in your path, and favor on your name. And soon you will realize that what took others years, God will do for you in moments. Because when he moves, time cannot resist him. Opportunities cannot ignore him. And when he decides to introduce you to the world, no one can stop him. There are seasons in your life when everything seems still, when the doors you've knocked on remain closed and the opportunities you've prayed for seem to pass by. It is in those moments that God is doing his deepest work. It's not that he has forgotten you. It's that he is preparing to announce you. And when God announces you, he doesn't whisper your name in a small room. He declares it before nations. He raises you in ways that silence every critic and confuse every. When he decides to use wealth to introduce you to the world, it will not just be about financial prosperity. It will be about divine purpose shining through your light. You see, wealth in the hands of the righteous becomes a message. It becomes a testimony that speaks louder than words. It says, God is faithful, God lifts, God provides. It becomes a light that draws people out of despair and reminds them that faith produces real fruit. The world needs to see that trusting God leads not only to spiritual peace, but also to practical blessing. The world has seen corruption wear crowns and arrogance wear success. But when God blesses a humble heart, that's when the world witnesses true greatness. God is about to show that his favor can rest on those who live righteously, that his wealth can flow through clean hands and pure hearts. God is not limited by the systems of men. He does not need your background, your education, or your connections to make you great. He can lift you from the very ground others look down upon. He can place you before kings and leaders who never knew your name. He can cause your ideas, your work, your voice, or your wisdom to reach places you've never stepped foot in. Because when God wants to introduce you to the world, he doesn't need permission. He only needs your obedience. And that obedience in seasons of scarcity is what prepares you for abundance. Many people pray for wealth, but they do not understand its weight. Wealth is not merely possession. It is responsibility. It is a divine assignment. It's a tool to manifest God's generosity through your hands. That's why God must first purify your motives before he fills your life with blessings. If your heart is full of pride, wealth will magnify it. But if your heart is anchored in humility, wealth will magnify God. The difference between being consumed by riches and being trusted with riches is who sits on the throne of your heart. If God sits there, everything you gain will glorify Him. God will never release something to you that will destroy you. That's why your delay is divine. He is strengthening you so that when wealth arrives, you carry it with wisdom. He is teaching you to master the unseen patience, gratitude, self-control, contentment, because these are the foundations that hold the weight of abundance. If He gave you everything now without spiritual maturity, you would misuse what was meant to elevate you. But when the time is right, you won't have to chase anything. Blessings will find you, opportunities will locate you, and divine wealth will flow naturally, not forcefully. When God decides to introduce you through wealth, it will be in a way that demands attention. The people who ignored you will watch as He elevates you, not to make you proud, but to show His power through your transformation. You will become a living example of what it means to trust God against all odds. The same mouths that once spoke doubt will speak admiration, because they will see what only faith could produce. That is what happens when God takes the stage of your life. He doesn't just restore what was lost. He multiplies it beyond recognition. Some of you feel unqualified because of your past, but God doesn't consult your history to decide your destiny. He looks at your heart. If He finds humility, if He finds faithfulness, if He finds consistency, He says, "This is the one I will raise." That's why you had to endure the dark seasons. God was removing the things that would have disqualified you from the blessing. He was purifying your desires so that when He blesses you, you would not forget Him. You may have lost people, you may have lost opportunities, but you didn't lose God, and that means you haven't lost your destiny. When wealth begins to flow from God, it doesn't come with sorrow. It comes with peace. It comes with balance. It comes with joy. It's not the kind of wealth that blinds you. It's the kind that awakens you. God gives in a way that brings rest to the soul, not restlessness to the mind. That's why the blessing of God makes rich and adds no burden. You will look at your life and realize that the same hands that once struggled to survive are now instruments of provision for others. You will feed those who are hungry, clothe those who are forgotten. That's when you'll know that your wealth was divine, because it carries purpose, not pride. There will come a time when the tables will turn, when those who once pitied you will ask for your wisdom, when those who looked down on you will seek your partnership, and you will not respond with revenge, but with grace. Because by then, God will have matured you beyond bitterness. You will know that every betrayal, every rejection, every lonely night was part of the preparation for your public unveiling. You will bless those who cursed you, because you will see that their rejection was God's redirection. You will thank those who left, because their absence made room for divine presence. Never forget this truth. God never wastes pain. Every tear has a purpose. Every struggle has a lesson. Every loss hides a preparation. He allows you to walk through fire, not to burn you, but to refine you. And when you emerge, you will shine with a strength that no man can dim. Wealth without process is fragile, but wealth born from faith is eternal. It becomes a legacy that outlives you. It becomes proof that God was always with you, even when you had nothing. There is a sacred reason why God connects wealth with destiny. Because wealth amplifies your message. It gives your purpose a platform. It turns your vision into reality. The righteous cannot influence the world from a place of survival. They must rise to a place of dominion. And God is raising a generation that will carry both righteousness and resources. They will speak with authority, build with excellence, and bless with abundance. They will not be ashamed of prosperity because they will understand that it came from God, not greed. Do not mistake simplicity for insignificance. You may be in a small place now, but greatness often begins in obscurity. God never starts you where you will end. The small business, the hidden idea, the quiet effort, these are the seeds that will one day bloom into something the world cannot ignore. Stay consistent. Keep honoring God in your process, because the same field you plow in faith will one day produce fruit that feeds nations. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. The waiting season is the womb of greatness. Every delay is a sign that the next chapter is being written with precision. God is aligning the right timing, the right people, and the right platform. And when He brings you into your season of revelation, everything will unfold with ease. The people who once wondered where you went will soon wonder how you rose so fast. But you will know it wasn't fast. It was faithful. It was years of silent obedience becoming visible overnight. The wealth that God is preparing for you will not just bless your hands, it will bless your name. It will carry your legacy across borders. It will lift your voice to the ears of those assigned to your purpose. You will not need to chase influence. Influence will chase you because divine favor will surround you like a shield. And when people ask how it happened, your only answer will be, God did it. When God begins to use wealth to introduce you to the world, it will be more than material gain. It will be a divine announcement. You will step into rooms you never dreamed of, and your presence will carry peace. You will speak, and your words will carry authority. Because those who are sent by God do not compete. They command through grace. The world will see your excellence, but they will feel His presence. That is how God introduces His chosen. There is a hidden power in how God works. When He decides to lift you, He doesn't need the approval of men, the applause of crowds, or the validation of systems. He moves in silence, but His results speak louder than any voice on earth. When God begins to use wealth to introduce you to the world, it will not be by human calculation. It will be divine orchestration. Every piece of your life, every delay, every rejection, every heartbreak was part of the blueprint. And when His moment of revelation comes, the puzzle will finally make sense. You will see that nothing was wasted. Every pain prepared you for purpose. Every struggle carves space for your blessing. There are people right now who cannot see your worth because your season has not yet revealed it. They measure you by your current situation, not realizing that God measures you by your destiny. But when the time comes, even those who underestimated you will have to acknowledge the favor that rests on you. For when God decides to reveal you, He does not do it halfway. He places his glory upon you so unmistakably that the same world that ignored you will be drawn to you. That is how God uses wealth as a mirror, reflecting his greatness through your success. Understand this. God does not give wealth to glorify greed. He gives it to glorify purpose. He does not release abundance to feed pride, but to feed nations. That is why he takes his time with you. He knows that premature prosperity can destroy a person. He knows that blessing the wrong heart at the wrong time can turn a servant into an idol. So he refines you in the fire of patience. He teaches you discipline through difficulty. He trains your hands in struggle so that when prosperity arrives, you will not worship the blessing. You will worship the one who gave it. The wealth God gives is never empty. It carries assignment. It carries influence. It carries responsibility. God uses it to position you, where your voice can bring light, where your example can inspire change, where your generosity can break cycles of poverty. That is why you cannot envy the wealth of those who gained it without God, for theirs is fragile and fleeting. But when wealth comes from God, it lasts beyond a lifetime. It doesn't just decorate your name, it transforms your lineage. It becomes an inheritance of both faith and favor. When God blesses you, he doesn't just fill your bank account, he fills your reputation with dignity. He surrounds you with peace. He gives you rest in abundance, not anxiety and accumulation. The wealth of God is not measured only in numbers. It is measured in fulfillment, in peace of mind, in freedom from fear. Because wealth without peace is poverty in disguise. But when God blesses you, the riches of your life bring no sorrow. They bring balance, clarity, and calm. You become a channel, not a container. A vessel through which others are lifted. Some of you are wondering why it seems that your season of prosperity has not yet arrived. You cannot pour gallons of blessing into a cup-sized mindset. That is why he stretches you through trials. That is why he pushes you beyond your limits. Because the person who will manage divine wealth cannot think small, cannot act in fear, cannot live for self. God is enlarging your spirit before he enlarges your territory. He is building the mindset of abundance in you before he places abundance around you. When God uses wealth to introduce you to the world, he does it in a way that reveals his wisdom. He will make you a sign and a wonder. People will study your life, not to imitate your style, but to understand your source. They will realize that your rise was not luck, it was loyalty to God. They will see that every time you chose faith over fear, heaven recorded it. Every time you chose integrity over shortcuts, God took note. And now those choices are about to pay off in ways you cannot imagine. Your name is being written into the plans of divine purpose. You may not see it yet, but your file is open in heaven. God is connecting dots you cannot see. There are people right now being prepared to favor you. People you haven't met. Conversations you don't know about. Opportunities you didn't plan for. When the appointed time arrives, all those threads will come together into a moment of divine manifestation. You won't have to fight for recognition. You'll walk into it. You won't have to chase wealth. It will be drawn to your obedience. Because when God releases, everything aligns. The wealth that God brings carries power, but it also carries humility. It humbles you to see how far His hand has carried you. It reminds you that the same dust you were made from can become gold when touched by divine favor. It teaches you that you never truly owned anything. You are always a steward, and that stewardship brings blessing upon blessing, because God trusts those who remember Him in their abundance. The more you honor Him with your wealth, the more He expands your reach. The more you give, the more He multiplies. The more you humble yourself, the more He lifts you. You must learn to see wealth as a language through which God speaks. When He blesses you, He's saying, "This is what I can do with a heart that believes." He's showing the world that righteousness is not weakness, that holiness is not poverty, that faithfulness is not foolishness. The world respects success, but God defines it. And when He makes you successful, it's not just to make you known, it's to make His power known through you. Every good thing that happens in your life becomes a sermon. Every increase becomes a testimony. Every promotion becomes a proclamation that trusting God works. Never allow anyone to convince you that wealth and faith cannot coexist. What matters is who you serve with it. When wealth serves pride, it becomes poison. But when wealth serves God, it becomes purpose. The more you surrender your resources to Him, the more He breathes life into them. Because God does not bless to make you dependent on money. He blesses to make money dependent on you. He puts it in your hands so it can serve your calling, not rule your heart. A time will come, perhaps sooner than you think, when the very world that once overlooked your potential will begin to seek your guidance. Those who turned away from your humble beginnings will one day ask how you built greatness from almost nothing. And you will say, "I remained faithful when it was painful. I honored God when I had little, and now He has honored me before many." That story will reach more hearts than 1,000 sermons ever could. For people are moved by what they witness. When they behold your fruit, they will understand your root. So don't be shaken if the breaking comes before the blessing. God often breaks before He builds. He allows seasons of loss, so that when gain arrives, you'll never forget the giver. He removes false strength, so your faith can stand unshaken and pure. You may lose people, possessions, but you will never lose purpose, because purpose is the soil in which divine wealth grows. And when you finally rise, it will be with strength, not arrogance, with gratitude, not pride. When the world begins to know your name, remember this truth. You are not lifted to be worshipped, but to be watched. People will look at you to see how a person who walks with God behaves when power arrives. And they will study how you treat others, how you speak, how you give. Your humility will become your witness. Your generosity will become your legacy. That's how God's wealth introduces you, not as a symbol of greed, but as an example of grace. When God decides to introduce you to the world, He will not do it in a quiet corner or behind closed doors. He will make it known. He will let the light of your obedience shine so brightly that even those who doubted you will have no choice but to see His hand upon your life. There are times when God allows you to live in scarcity so you can learn humility, faith, and dependence. But there will also come a time when He will use wealth, divine provision, overflowing abundance to reveal his glory through you. Wealth in itself is not evil. It is a tool, a channel, a stage upon which God displays his greatness. When he gives wealth to a faithful servant, he is not just blessing them, he is broadcasting his power. When God places wealth in your life, it is never about showing off. It's about showing him. He doesn't bless you so you can boast. He blesses you so you can bear witness. There are people in this world who will never listen to a sermon, but they will see your life. They will see the way God lifted you, the way he opened doors no man could shut, the way he transformed lack into abundance. Your success becomes a testimony. Your increase becomes a declaration that God is real, that he is faithful, that he rewards those who walk with him in righteousness and patience. Some people fear wealth as if it is a curse, but the truth is wealth becomes dangerous only when it is disconnected from God. When you hold it apart from the giver, it consumes you. But when you hold it with reverence, gratitude, and wisdom, it becomes a holy weapon, a way to feed the hungry, clothe the poor, build what glorifies his name, and lift those in despair. Wealth, when used under divine direction, is a megaphone through which God's love, generosity, and abundance echo across generations. God does not want his children to live in constant shame or fear of provision. He is the provider of all things, the one who makes rivers flow in deserts, the one who multiplies a seed sown in faith. If he could command the earth to bring forth fruit, if he could feed prophets in the wilderness and sustain believers through famine, then surely he can bless your hands with wealth. But he does it only when your heart is ready. He blesses you not when you crave money, but when you crave him more than anything, when your desire for God outweighs your desire for possessions. That's when he knows he can trust you with abundance. Wealth is not meant to change your heart. It's meant to expose it. God gives wealth to reveal what already lives within you. If pride hides in your spirit, wealth will magnify it. If humility and gratitude live within you, wealth will magnify that too. That is why God tests his chosen ones in the fire of lack before he crowns them with abundance. He wants to see if you can be trusted in silence before he gives you the microphone of prosperity. Because when God makes you wealthy, people will listen. The world listens to results, so the world respects manifestation. God knows that when he multiplies your resources, he is also multiplying your influence. And through that influence you will speak his name to kings, to nations, to generations unborn. So when you find yourself in a season of waiting, do not curse the delay. God is not withholding. He is preparing. He is not punishing you. He is positioning you. He is building your spiritual foundation so that when the flood of wealth arrives, it does not wash you away. Many people ask for wealth, but few are prepared to carry it without losing themselves. And no, God's blessing is not light. It carries weight. It demands discipline. It requires wisdom. It calls for self-control, humility, and generosity. He cannot give you the glory of abundance until he knows your spirit can carry it without breaking. When God finally releases wealth into your life, it won't be in secret. It won't be a small drop. It will overflow. It will be so undeniable that even your enemies will have to acknowledge that something divine has happened. They will look at your life and see evidence of a power greater than human effort. That is how God introduces his people through visible transformation. He lifts you from obscurity to influence, not because of your status or education, but because of your surrender. Some of you have been hidden for years. You have prayed, worked, believed, and waited, yet nothing seems to move. But hear this truth. When the time comes, God will move faster than you ever imagined. One opportunity can change everything. One idea, one door, one connection. He can cause it all to align in your favor. And when that happens, people will wonder how it happened so suddenly. But you will know it wasn't sudden. It was the result of years of divine preparation. God was shaping your heart for the platform he was preparing for you. Do not envy the rich who ignore God, for their wealth is temporary. Their success is built on sand. But when God blesses you, he builds you on the rock of his principles. Your wealth will not bring anxiety. Oh, it will bring peace. It will not enslave you. It will liberate you. It will not control you. It will serve you. God's blessings do not come with sorrow. They come with purpose. When he gives you wealth, it is wealth that multiplies good. It feeds generations, uplifts the weak, and glorifies his holy name. Remember this: God will never elevate you for your comfort alone. He elevates you for his cause. He raises you so you can raise others. He blesses you so you can become a blessing. He gives you abundance so that your life becomes a message louder than any words could ever speak. And through that message, people will come to recognize the reality of God. They will see what he has done in your life and begin to believe that he can do it in theirs too. That is why you must never apologize for divine success. You must never shrink from the light of God's blessings because others are uncomfortable. God did not bless you to make you small. He blessed you to make his greatness visible. When he uses wealth to introduce you to the world, it is not vanity, it is destiny. You are meant to stand out not for your glory, but for his. You are meant to shine so that others can trace the light back to its source, God Almighty, the giver of all good things. Wealth is not just about money. It is also about wisdom, peace, health, and divine favor. Some of the richest people in the world have empty souls. But when God blesses you, he gives you total wealth, a life that is full of meaning, relationships that are grounded in love, and a spirit that rests in his peace. He gives you the kind of wealth that cannot be stolen or destroyed. God is looking for people he can trust with wealth that carries a mission. He wants people who will see money as a tool, not a throne. He wants hearts that will remain humble in abundance, hands that will stay open to the needy, and minds that will remain focused on eternal purpose. When God sees that kind of spirit, he releases favor without measure. So prepare yourself. Do not just ask for blessings. Build the character that can handle them. Learn to manage little before asking for much. Stay faithful when no one is watching. Keep giving, even when you have only a little. Keep trusting, even when you see no progress. Because that is what separates those who crave wealth from those who are called to carry it. When God finally uses wealth to introduce you to the world, you will not have to explain yourself. Your life will speak louder than any words could. People will see the fingerprints of God on everything you touch. They will see that your rise was not by chance, but by choice, God's choice. And through your story, many will find faith, many will find hope, and many will find God. When God decides to elevate a person, no force in this world can hold them back. No wall can stop the blessing that is appointed for you. No system can block the door that God himself has chosen to open. When the time comes for him to use wealth to introduce you to the world, it will not be through human permission. It will be through divine orchestration. You will not need to chase recognition because recognition will chase you. You will not need to beg for opportunity because opportunity will find you where you are. God does not need to consult anyone before blessing you. When he declares abundance over your life, it will arrive like a flood, unstoppable and undeniable. But hear this truth. Before God introduces you to the world, he first introduces you to yourself. He reveals the hidden strengths within you, the wisdom you didn't know you possessed, the discipline that was buried beneath struggle. He refines your faith until you no longer depend on people for validation. Because God cannot use wealth to lift a person who still finds their worth in the opinions of others. Wealth without maturity becomes destruction. But wealth in the hands of a soul anchored in God becomes transformation. That is why your preparation season is sacred. Those years of endurance, those nights of tears, those seasons of obscurity, they are not wasted. They are divine construction. God is shaping your heart to handle the weight of what is coming. The reason some people never see divine wealth is not because God cannot give it, but because they cannot carry it. If God gave them success too soon, it would crush them instead of crown them. So he waits, he teaches, he tests. And when your heart finally says, God, I want you more than what you can give, that is the moment heaven declares, now you are ready. Wealth in God's design is never meant to make you proud. It is meant to make you effective. When God blesses you, it is not for you to sit in comfort, but to stand in purpose. He gives you wealth so you can fund his will on earth, to bring hope to the hopeless, to build what glorifies his name, to be a reflection of his generosity. Every coin he entrusts to you is a seed of responsibility. Every open door is a chance to show his nature to the world, because true wealth is not measured by what you own. It is measured by how much you impact in his name. There will come a day when those who once overlooked you will wonder how you rose so high. They will search for explanations. They will talk about connections, but they will miss the truth. Your elevation came from obedience. You did not build yourself by manipulation. You were lifted by divine strategy. You stayed faithful when it made no sense. And now the God who saw your private faith will reward you publicly. God loves to surprise those who mock the humble. He loves to take a person from the shadows and seat them among the mighty just to prove that his favor outranks all status. You see, when God introduces you through wealth, he is not merely displaying luxury. He is displaying legacy. The wealth he brings is not shallow or fleeting. It's generational. He will give you wisdom to multiply, the insight to sustain, and the heart to share. That is why you must be different from those who chase riches. They run after gold, but you must run after God. For in finding him, you will find everything else. Those who chase wealth may gain temporary comfort, but those who chase God gain eternal security. And when wealth finds you while you are walking with him, it cannot corrupt you. It can only amplify your purpose. God's timing is precise. He knows exactly when to open the floodgates of provision. When you have been tested, when you have learned to handle lack without bitterness, when you have served others, even when you had little, then he releases abundance with confidence, because he knows you will not worship the blessing. You will worship the giver. Many people pray for abundance, but few pray for the wisdom to manage it. Pray not just for wealth, but for understanding. Pray not just for prosperity, but for purity of intention. Because when wealth comes, it will magnify whatever is in your heart. If your heart is greedy, greed will grow. But if your heart is generous, generosity will overflow. Do not think that wealth will change who you are. It will reveal who you are. That is why God watches closely in seasons of small beginnings. He observes how you handle small money, small opportunities, small responsibilities. He watches your attitude when no one praises your efforts. When you remain steadfast, even when no one is watching, God knows He can trust you when every eye is on you. The abundance He brings won't arrive to validate your value in front of people. It will arrive to reveal His greatness through your life. So keep moving forward in faith, even when progress seems invisible. Keep trusting, even when the promise feels delayed. God is never late. He is intentional. What He is shaping within you takes time, because it's being built to endure eternity. When He unveils your name, it won't be fleeting popularity. It will be lasting impact. It will be success anchored in eternal meaning. The kind that continues blessing lives long after you've left this world. And in that moment, you'll see that every ache, every delay, every quiet night, and every battle had a purpose. Because God wasn't just preparing a blessing for you, He was crafting your legacy. When a person truly sent by God steps into your life, the atmosphere around you begins to change. At first, you might not see it. You may dismiss it as luck, timing, or just another familiar face crossing your path. But when God places someone in your story, it is never by chance. It is never without purpose. It is divine design. It is heaven quietly weaving through the details of your days, aligning moments for transformation, protection, and destiny. And when your spirit is awake, you will notice the signs. You will sense the gentle stirring within your soul, because whenever God sends someone, 5 things begin to unfold. The first is peace. Not the peace that comes from the world, not the comfort of temporary ease, but a deep, quiet assurance that settles in your soul. You will not feel anxious around this person. You will not feel the need to impress them, to compete, or to pretend. Something about their presence aligns with your spirit. It is as if your soul recognizes them before your mind does. That peace is not ordinary. It is God's whisper telling you, this is one I have chosen for your journey. When God sends someone, your spirit rests. You feel at home, even in silence. Their words may carry correction, but it never wounds your soul. It awakens it. Their presence feels like still waters after a long storm. You find yourself breathing differently, thinking clearly, and seeing the world through a higher lens. That is the peace that only comes when someone is sent by God. You see, when people come into your life on their own, they drain you, distract you, or deceive you. But when God sends someone, they bring calm into your chaos. They don't compete with your growth. They complement it. They don't pressure you to change into what pleases them. They draw out the version of you that pleases God. The peace they bring is not a coincidence. It's a confirmation, because God never sends confusion. He never sends chaos. He sends clarity. And if someone's presence restores your inner balance and brings your spirit closer to Him, then know without a doubt God sent them. The second thing that happens is purpose awakens. When God sends someone, they do not come to entertain you. They come to elevate you. They will not allow you to stay comfortable in mediocrity. They are divine reminders that there is more inside you than what the world sees. They pull out the gifts that you've been hiding. They ignite your passion again. They make you remember who you are and what God created you to be. Their words have power because they are not speaking from ego. They are speaking from assignment. When God sends someone, they carry an invisible key, a key that unlocks a part of your destiny you could not reach on your own. You might have been praying for direction, asking God to show you your next step, feeling stuck in a place of uncertainty, and then suddenly this person arrives. They say something that stirs your faith. They challenge your fear. They push you to believe again. They are not always gentle, but they are always right on time. Their purpose is to push you closer to the will of God. You may resist them at first because their presence disturbs your comfort zone, but deep down your spirit knows they were sent for this moment. You will recognize them because they awaken the part of you that had fallen asleep. They make you dream again. They make you pray with fire again. They make you remember that your life has meaning beyond survival. Their energy carries divine purpose. Their voice carries divine urgency. God often uses people to shift seasons. And when He sends someone, your whole direction begins to align. What used to confuse you now makes sense. What used to drain you now strengthens you. That's not luck. That's divine alignment. The third thing that happens when someone is sent by God is protection begins to surround you. Their presence in your life becomes a shield. God uses them as a covering, sometimes spiritual, sometimes emotional, sometimes physical. They may warn you about people who mean you harm. They may pull you out of circles that were draining your spirit. They may speak words that prevent you from making a costly mistake. And often you won't realize it until later when God sends someone. They become your guardian in disguise. They are sensitive to danger around you. Even when you are blind to it, their discernment is sharp because they are guided by God, not by selfish interest. Sometimes they will even take a tax meant for you, bearing burdens quietly so you can move freely. They will stand beside you when everyone else leaves. They won't use your weakness against you. They will cover it in prayer. They will see your flaws but still believe in your future. Their loyalty is not based on convenience. It is based on divine connection. And sometimes that protection is not about keeping others away. It's about keeping you close to God. The person sent by God will remind you when your path drifts. They will speak truth when you don't want to hear it. They will confront your pride, your fears, your doubts, and pull you back toward faith. Their correction doesn't humiliate, it heals. It might sting, but it saves you because they are not sent to please you. They are sent to protect you. God places them as a spiritual barrier between you and destruction. You'll notice something beautiful when this person enters your life. Attacks increase, but your strength also multiplies. The enemy knows their presence means your elevation, so he tries to create division. He whispers lies, plants confusion, and tries to turn your heart against them. But if you stay in prayer, you'll see clearly this person was sent to guard your destiny, not to harm it. Don't push away who God sent because of temporary discomfort. Sometimes divine protection comes wrapped in discipline. The fourth thing that happens is transformation. When someone sent by God enters your life, change becomes unavoidable. You begin to see your old self fading. Your conversations shift. Your habits begin to purify. You no longer tolerate the things that once trapped you. Your desires change. Your standards rise. This person carries a divine influence that reshapes your environment. They don't just talk about change, they embody it. Their life becomes a mirror that reflects who you are meant to become. You'll notice you think differently after talking with them. Your faith grows stronger. Your patience deepens. They stir something in you that no sermon or book could awaken. That's because they are not speaking from theory. They are speaking from assignment. Their presence itself carries transformation. They walk in obedience, and obedience is contagious. You start to want what they have. Not their possessions, but their peace. Not their fame, but their favor. Sometimes transformation hurts. When God sends someone to elevate you, they may disrupt everything familiar. You may lose people, habits, or comforts along the way. But that's how divine transformation works. It cleanses before it crowns. The one God sends will not let you settle for a halfway life. They will speak to the greatness inside you until it rises. They will remind you that you were not created to live small. Their love will stretch you. Their words will test you. And their faith will inspire you. When God sends someone, they don't fit into your old life because they are a sign that your old life is ending. You might feel uncomfortable because your spirit is being upgraded. That discomfort is not punishment. It's preparation. Transformation is God's way of proving that you are moving from where you were to where He always meant you to be. And finally, the fifth thing that happens when someone sent by God enters your life is elevation. Your life begins to rise. Your perspective widens. You start walking in favor that makes no sense. Doors open that were once sealed shut. Opportunities appear that you could never force on your own. That's because divine connection carries divine acceleration. When God sends someone, they become a bridge to new levels. Elevation doesn't mean pride or status. It means purpose fulfilled. It means you are finally walking in the rhythm of God's will. The person sent by God doesn't compete with your success. They celebrate it. They push you higher, even if it means they stand behind you unseen. They find joy in seeing you win, because your victory is tied to their obedience. They understand that your success is not theirs to control, but theirs to support. You'll notice as elevation begins, people from your past might not understand. Some will criticize the new connections in your life. Some will say you've changed, and they're right. You have, because divine connections always produce divine transformation. Elevation is the visible proof that God was working all along. And the person He sent, they were the instrument. Sometimes the elevation is spiritual. You begin to see God's hand more clearly in everything. You begin to pray differently. think differently, and respond differently. You no longer chase validation because you are anchored in divine confidence. That person didn't come to complete you. They came to remind you that you were already chosen. Their presence awakened what was already inside you. Elevation can also mean freedom. Freedom from fear, from toxic attachments, from cycles that kept you bound. The one sent by God brings light to what was hidden and truth to what was twisted. They help you see that not every loss was a curse, and not every delay was a denial. They teach you to wait on God's timing without doubting His plan. And as you grow beside them, you realize that their arrival was not an accident. It was an answer. Because when God sends someone, it's not about romance, friendship, or status. It's about destiny. It's about divine alignment. It's about two paths crossing at the exact moment when one word, one act of kindness, one prayer could change everything. God uses people as vessels of His mercy. He sends them when you're too weak to stand alone, when your faith is flickering, when your hope feels thin. They appear as a reminder that you are seen, known, and loved by the one who orchestrates every detail of your life. But here's the truth. Before God sends someone, He prepares you to recognize them. You must be spiritually awake. You must be willing to let go of the counterfeit so you can receive the genuine. Because if your heart is still clinging to what God removed, you will reject what God sent. Many people miss their blessing because they are still entertaining distractions. They want divine connection but refuse divine separation. God cannot send you a gift while your hands are full of what He asked you to release. When someone is sent by God, they do not drain your peace. They expand it. They do not feed your ego. They feed your purpose. They do not confuse your spirit. They clarify it. Their words carry life, not flattery. Their presence restores, not destroys. You know it's God because something deep inside you says this is different. This is right. And yet not everyone God sends is meant to stay forever. Some are sent for a season to guide, to teach, to correct, to heal. Then they are called away. Hey, and it will hurt, but their departure is also divine. God uses people as chapters in your growth. Not all as permanent fixtures. Some are angels in disguise, stepping in for a moment to save you from a lifetime of pain. Some are mentors, some are friends, some are simply messengers carrying one truth that changes your direction forever. Do not hold too tightly to what was meant to move. Because when someone is truly sent by God, you don't have to chase them, convince them, or perform for them. The connection flows naturally. It is guided, not forced. It is peaceful, not painful. It honors God, not the flesh, and it produces fruit, patience, faith, wisdom, and growth. That's how you know the difference between what's divine and what's deceptive. When God sends someone into your life, it is not a coincidence. It is divine strategy. Heaven does not make mistakes, and destiny does not operate by chance. Every soul that enters your life under the direction of God carries a divine purpose. You must understand that in the grand design of your existence, nothing is random. The Almighty is the ultimate author of every connection, every meeting, every voice that speaks truth into your spirit. There are people who are sent by chance, and there are people who are sent by God. And when it is God, everything begins to change. When God sends someone, your journey accelerates. Where you once struggled, doors begin to open. Where you once doubted, faith begins to rise. You will notice that even your environment starts responding differently. God connects you with those who carry what your spirit has been missing. He knows the exact moment when your heart is ready, and he sends someone whose presence activates what has been sleeping inside of you. That is why discernment is crucial. You cannot treat everyone who enters your life the same way. Some people come to test you, some to teach you, and some to transform you. But when someone is sent by God, they are not there to drain you. They are there to direct you. There is something sacred about divine timing. You may have waited years, endured heartbreak, betrayal, loneliness, and confusion. You may have wondered if God heard your prayers, if he saw your tears, if he cared about your silence. But when the time is right, when your heart has been purified, when your faith has been tested, that's when he sends someone. And you will know it is him, because the connection will not be built on selfishness, but on purpose. Their spirit will honor yours. Their presence will not distract you from God. It will draw you closer to him. That is the sign of a divine connection. It deepens your relationship with the one who sent it. When God sends someone, he uses them to remind you of who you are in his eyes. The world may have labeled you as weak, broken, forgotten, or unworthy. But this person sees something holy in you. They see your light even when you can't. They speak words that lift your faith from the ashes. They do not flatter you for comfort. They challenge you for growth. You will notice that around them you cannot pretend. Their spirit carries truth, and truth exposes what is false. That's not judgment. That's purification. God uses them to cleanse your perception, to remove the fog of doubt, and to reawaken your divine identity. You must understand that not every connection in your life is meant to be easy. Sometimes the person sent by God will frustrate your flesh, but feed your faith. They will confront you when you start drifting away from your divine path. They will hold you accountable to the standards God set for you, even when others would let you slide. That is love in its purest form. Not the love that entertains your weakness, but the love that strengthens your soul. God sends such people because he knows comfort never produces change. Growth requires truth, and truth requires courage. When God sends someone, they are equipped with a specific assignment. Some are sent to lift you, some are sent to guide you, some are sent to prepare you for something greater. But all of them carry something divine. You must never take lightly the people who arrive when you are broken, when you are lost, when you are at the edge of giving up. Often these are not random strangers. They are instruments of God's mercy. They speak one sentence that heals years of pain. They do one act of kindness that restores your faith in humanity. They bring light into a space that has been dark for too long. And yet divine connections require spiritual maturity, because when God sends someone, the enemy also notices. Darkness always tries to interfere with what God establishes. Jealousy, misunderstanding, and miscommunication will try to break what God built. The enemy knows that if you and this person stay aligned, your destiny will move faster than he can attack. That's why you must guard divine relationships with prayer. Don't let pride, suspicion, or impatience destroy what God is doing. Protect what God sent by staying humble and obedient. When God is in the center, no force on earth can separate what He has joined by purpose. Sometimes God will send someone into your life not to give you what you want, but to prepare you for what you need. They may not fit your expectations, but they will fit your assignment. You might resist them at first because they challenge everything familiar, but deep down your spirit will recognize them. You will know because they carry the same spiritual frequency as your calling. They are not after what you have. They are after what you are becoming. God aligns you with people who speak the same divine language of purpose, faith, and perseverance. And listen closely. When God sends someone, they will never lead you away from Him. They will not pull you into sin, confusion, or pride. Instead, they will constantly direct your focus back to God. They will say, seek His guidance first. They will pray for you in private even when you do not ask. They will cover your weaknesses, not expose them. They will remind you to trust the Almighty when you are weary. That's how you know this connection is holy. It nourishes your soul, not your ego. The truth is, divine relationships refine you. They teach you patience, humility, and faith. They teach you to love without expecting anything in return. They test your ability to forgive, to communicate, to grow. When God sends someone, they will not be perfect, but they will be purposeful. They will not always understand you, but they will always value your growth. Their loyalty is not to your comfort, but to your destiny. Sometimes God will send someone only for a moment, a brief encounter that changes your entire path. You might meet them in a season of despair, exchange a few words, and never see them again. But their impact will echo in your spirit for years. That's how divine timing works. God uses people as vessels of revelation. One conversation can unlock clarity that years of searching could not. One kind act can restore faith that was buried under disappointment. God's messengers do not need to stay long to make a lasting mark. Their purpose is not in their duration, but in their effect. When someone sent by God enters your life, pay attention to what awakens in you. Do you feel peace or pressure, clarity or confusion, strength or fear? Because the presence of someone truly sent by God will never feed your anxiety. It will calm it. They will not complicate your life. They will simplify it. They will not drain your spirit. They will refresh it. They will not pull you into gossip, pride, or sin. They will elevate your mindset to a higher, purer level. And you must also remember this. Just as God sends people to bless you, He can send you to bless others. Sometimes you are the answer to someone's prayer. You may think your words don't matter, but they do. You may not realize it, but your presence might be the comfort someone begged God for last night. You may not understand it, but your obedience could be the reason someone else rediscovers their faith. When you walk in humility, you become the vessel God uses. So don't underestimate the quiet ways He can work through you. The person sent by God is not always wrapped in beauty, fame, or perfection. Sometimes they come disguised as ordinary people with extraordinary purpose. They may not match what you imagine, but their spirit will carry heaven's weight. Their words will strike your heart with unmistakable truth. Their very presence will release a peace that no imitation can mimic. Being near them will feel like stepping into sunlight after endless rain. soft yet strong. That is the touch of divine presence. It does not scream, it simply shines. But remember, never mistake attachment for divine purpose. Someone may comfort your heart, yet be harmful to your soul. The ones God sends will nourish your spirit, not just your feelings. Many lose their blessings by clinging to what heaven never approved. Yet when you pray for discernment, when you quiet desire and listen to that inner stillness, the truth becomes clear. Real divine connections never pull you away from your values. They always lift you higher. There will be times when God sends someone and then removes them. Do not see that as loss. See it as completion. Their assignment in your life was fulfilled. They taught you what you needed to learn. They awakened something that needed to rise. Holding on to them out of fear will only delay your next blessing. When God sends someone, be grateful. When He removes them, be trusting. The same hand that gave knows when to take away. Both are acts of love. When God sends someone, they become proof that He still answers prayers. You may have thought He was silent, but through them He speaks again. You may have felt forgotten, but through them He shows that He still sees you. You may have been ready to give up, but through them He reminds you that your story is not over. They are living evidence that God's timing is never late and His plans are never random. And so guard your heart, but don't harden it. Be wise, but stay open. Pray for discernment, but don't block divine blessings because of past pain. The person God sends will not hurt you like the others did. They come with healing, not harm. They come to build, not break. They come to align, not confuse. You will feel it in your soul. This is different. This is pure. This is God. When God sends someone, the atmosphere around you changes. Peace becomes stronger. Purpose becomes clearer. Protection becomes visible. Transformation becomes natural. Elevation becomes inevitable. Because where God sends His presence, blessings follow. And when He sends a person, that person becomes a channel through which His mercy flows. If you've been praying for guidance, for love that honors God, for friendship that strengthens your spirit, or for partnership that leads to righteousness, stay faithful. God is still in the business of sending divine helpers. They may not arrive when you expect, but they will come when you're ready. Until then, keep preparing your heart, keep building your faith, and keep trusting that when God sends someone, it will change everything. When God sends someone into your life, it is never to fill an empty space. It is to fulfill a divine. Every connection orchestrated by God carries eternal weight. You may think you just met them by chance, but heaven never moves by accident. The Almighty does not deal in randomness. He deals in revelation. What you call coincidence, God calls confirmation. When He sends someone, it is because a part of His plan for your destiny requires their presence. They are not here to distract you from your path. They are here to illuminate it. When God sends someone, they carry something you need for the next season of your life. Their wisdom, their experience, their faith. It aligns with your calling. They don't come to replace your dependence on God, but to strengthen it. They remind you that the Almighty still moves through people, that His guidance still flows through vessels of obedience. You see, God does not always speak through thunder or fire. Sometimes He speaks through the quiet words of someone He has chosen. That is why you must learn to recognize the voice of God in the people He sends. It is not always loud. Sometimes it's a gentle word that pierces your spirit with truth and brings peace that logic cannot explain. But to recognize who is sent by God, your heart must be tuned to His frequency. You cannot discern divine connections if your spirit is cluttered with noise. The world will send distractions that look like blessings. The enemy will send temptations that sound like truth. But God's presence carries a peace that cannot be faked. When someone is sent by Him, your heart will not feel confusion. It will feel conviction. You will sense a spiritual alignment that words cannot define. You won't have to chase their loyalty, prove your worth, or beg for their attention. The connection will flow naturally, like a river returning to its source, because it was authored by the one who never makes mistakes. When God sends someone, their life becomes a mirror that shows you who you can be when you live by faith. Their discipline will challenge your complacency. Their faith will expose your doubt. Their humility will silence your pride. They will not flatter your weaknesses. They will awaken your strength. You will know they were sent by God when their presence consistently calls you higher. They may not tell you what you want to hear, but they will tell you what you need to hear. They won't compete with your progress. They will celebrate your purpose. They will not envy your success. They will pray for your continued growth. There are moments when God will send someone during your lowest valley, when your faith is trembling, when your prayers feel empty, when your tears have no words. He will send someone who reminds you of His promises. They may not even realize they are being used by Him, but their timing will be divine. They will say something that revives your hope, something that brings you back from despair. That is how God works. He answers prayers through people. He moves His chosen ones like pieces on a sacred chessboard, aligning every move with perfect wisdom. Sometimes the person God sends will not fit your expectation. You might look at them and think, surely not this one. But that is because divine purpose is often wrapped in humility. God hides greatness in simplicity, so only the discerning can see it. Do not reject someone because they do not look the way you imagine. God often sends helpers disguised as ordinary people. You might overlook them if you judge by appearance, but if you listen with your spirit, you will feel their divine assignment. Their words will carry light. Their energy will carry truth. Their faith will carry power. When God sends someone, they will never pull you into sin. They will not feed your ego or flatter your pride. Instead, they will lead you toward purity. They will remind you that peace is found not in possessions or attention, but in obedience to God. The person sent by Him is a walking testimony of discipline and devotion. You will notice how their life reflects patience, humility, and consistency. They do not just talk about faith, they live it. They do not just quote truth, they embody it. And when you spend time with them, your own spirit begins to transform. That's not manipulation, that's sanctification. Understand this. Every divine connection comes with a test. The closer someone is to your destiny, the greater the challenge to your humility and patience. When God sends someone, He will also test your character to see if you can handle what that connection carries. Can you love them without control? Can you walk beside them without pride? Can you honor them even when you do not fully understand them? These are the tests that separate the faithful from the fearful. God will not allow you to mishandle someone He sent. If you do not approach them with respect, gratitude, and discernment, you could lose what was meant to elevate you. You must also understand that sometimes when God sends someone, the enemy sends counterfeits at the same time. This is why discernment is crucial. Counterfeits come with charm, but no substance. They promise peace but bring pressure. They speak loudly but say nothing that nourishes your soul. Divine connections are different. They don't have to force anything. Their silence brings comfort. Their presence brings focus. Their counsel brings wisdom. If you feel drained after spending time with someone, that is not a connection from God. But if you feel renewed, strengthened, and inspired to draw closer to the Almighty, that is evidence of a divine link. When someone is sent by God, they are covered by His favor. Things around them carry a certain grace. Doors open for them not because of who they are, but because of who sent. And if you are connected to them, that same favor will begin to touch your life. Their prayers will lift you. Their presence will align you. Their words will guide you. You will notice blessings begin to flow where there was once stagnation. That is the overflow of divine partnership. When two people walk in obedience together, God multiplies what they carry. But here is a truth many overlook. When God sends someone, He expects you to value them. Gratitude is the key that keeps divine connections alive. If you take them for granted, if you gossip about them, if you dishonor what they bring, you may lose the very blessing you prayed for. God does not bless the ungrateful. He will not allow His vessels to be mistreated. When someone is sent by Him, protect that relationship with humility. Speak well of them in their absence. Pray for them in their struggles. Celebrate their growth as if it were your own. That is how you honor what God honors. Sometimes divine connections are seasonal. God sends someone to prepare you for a specific chapter. Once their assignment is complete, He will move them elsewhere. It will hurt, but it will also heal. Their departure is not rejection, it is redirection. Do not mourn what was meant to move. God's plan does not end with someone's exit. It expands through it. If they were truly sent by Him, their influence will remain even after they leave. The seed they planted in your spirit will continue to grow long after their voice is gone. That is the beauty of divine connection. It never truly ends. It transforms. And when you reach the point of spiritual maturity, you will realize something profound. Sometimes you are the one God is sending. You are the answer to someone's desperate prayer. You are the light God is using to guide someone out of darkness. You are the reminder that faith still lives, that goodness still breathes. When you walk in obedience, you become the vessel God uses to lift others. You become a reflection of His mercy. Your words, your compassion, your presence, it all becomes part of His divine movement on earth. When God sends someone into your life, it's never a random occurrence. It's not coincidence. It's not luck. It's divine placement. God's hand is too precise to make mistakes. His wisdom too infinite to be guided by chance. When a person walks into your life under God's direction, something deep in your soul will recognize it. It won't just be attraction, friendship, or convenience. It will be purpose, a spiritual recognition, a peace that surpasses understanding. And that peace is not emotional. It's divine. It is God whispering, "This one I sent." When someone sent by God enters your path, the first thing that happens is alignment. Their presence will not pull you away from God. It will draw you closer to Him. You'll find yourself praying more, thinking deeper, growing stronger. You'll notice that your faith feels alive again. You'll feel encouraged to walk in righteousness, not because they force you to, but because their presence carries light. Their energy uplifts your spirit, not drains it. They remind you of who you are in God's eyes, not who you were in your past. That's how divine connections operate. They push you toward your higher purpose, never toward confusion or compromise. Many people confuse attraction with divine connection. But hear this. Not everyone who enters your life is sent by God. Some are sent to test you, some to tempt you, and some to teach you. But those sent by God, they come with peace, not chaos, with truth, not manipulation. They don't enter to take, they enter to add. Their words carry calmness. Their presence feels like protection. They don't compete with your calling. They complement it. That's why when they speak, something inside you listens differently. When they pray, your heart agrees. When they stand beside you, you feel covered, because God uses their presence as a shelter for your soul. The second thing that happens when someone sent by God enters your life is divine timing. They appear exactly when you need them, not when you plan for them. You may be in a valley, crying out for guidance, wondering if anyone understands your pain, and then they show up. Not early, not late, right on time. That's how God works. He hides people until the appointed season. He keeps them unseen until your heart is ready, until your mind has matured, until your spirit can discern the difference between a distraction and a destiny. When that person arrives, their timing will confirm that God still hears your prayers. You'll realize that God never forgot you. He was preparing someone to walk with you. You'll see how every delay had a reason, how every disappointment made space for divine connection. Because when God writes a story, He doesn't rush it. He prepares both hearts, molds both spirits, refines these both paths. So when the meeting happens, there's no confusion. You both recognize this is God's doing. The third thing that happens when someone is sent by God is transformation. Their presence becomes a mirror, showing you who you're becoming. You'll find yourself growing in ways you didn't expect. You'll start to heal wounds you never addressed. Their faith will awaken your faith. Their patience will calm your storm. Their strength will make you believe again. And even if they never speak the word change, you will find yourself becoming better simply by walking beside them. Because divine connections carry transforming power. God doesn't send people to entertain you. He sends them to elevate you. Sometimes that elevation comes through challenge, through correction, through uncomfortable honesty. But even when they correct you, it doesn't break you. It builds you. You'll feel their words pierce your pride but heal your heart. You'll sense that they are not against you, but for your growth. That's a divine sign. They care for your soul, not just your comfort. When God sends someone, their love is not selfish. Their care is not conditional. Their loyalty doesn't disappear when life gets hard. They're anchored in purpose, not convenience. And even when they're not near, their prayers still cover you. They might not speak every day, but you'll still feel their spiritual presence because God ties souls that share the same mission. Their bond is not built on attention. It's built on divine assignment. The fourth thing that happens when someone sent by God enters your life is protection. Their prayers become your invisible shield. You'll notice battles you used to fight alone suddenly feel lighter. You'll sense unseen help, unexpected strength. That's because when God sends someone for you, He equips them with spiritual armor to help guard your destiny. They will pray for you in silence, intercede when you're weak, and stand between you and danger without seeking recognition. That's how you know they're sent by God. They protect you even when you're not watching. Sometimes you'll never know how much danger their prayers saved you from. You'll never see the battles they fought in the spirit for your peace. But God sees and He rewards those who stand as protectors over others. That's why divine connections are sacred. You must handle them with care, gratitude, and prayer. Don't take lightly the ones who carry your name before God. And the fifth thing that happens when someone is sent by God, they leave a lasting imprint on your soul. Even if seasons change, even if life separates your paths, their impact remains. They leave you stronger, wiser, closer to God. You may not speak to them for years, but their words still echo in your heart. Their lessons still guide your steps. Their prayers still follow you, because what is sent by God never truly departs. It transforms. It continues. It bears fruit beyond presence. Understand this. When someone is sent by God, their purpose is eternal. Even if their presence is temporary, God can use them to redirect your life, restore your hope, or rekindle your faith. And once that mission is fulfilled, He may move them to another assignment. But you'll never forget the peace they brought. You'll never forget the divine fingerprints they left on your life. That's how you know they were sent from above. There are also times when you'll misjudge divine connections. You might doubt them because you've been betrayed before. You might question them because you fear being hurt again. But God whispers, don't reject what I've given, just because others have mishandled what was sacred. Not everyone is meant to wound you. Not everyone will take advantage of your love. Some are divinely placed to mend what others have shattered. God rebuilds trust through the trustworthy. He rekindles love through hearts that love sincerely. And He renews your faith in people through those who walk humbly and serve quietly. So tonight, as your heart grows still, ask yourself, who has God placed in my path? Who brings calm, honesty, and growth to my spirit? Who gently draws me back to prayer when my focus fades? Who speaks truth that reignites my faith? These souls are not ordinary. They are heaven's messengers in disguise. And when you finally see them for who they are, gratitude will flood your heart, knowing that God saw your pain and sent love wrapped in human form. Hear me now, and let your heart stay wide open. You are not encountering these words by chance. This is not coincidence or luck. This moment has been ordained by heaven. The reason your soul stirs within you right now is because God Himself has spoken something powerful over your life. He has released a divine decree into the atmosphere of your destiny. Your turnaround has come. For far too long you've walked through storms, endured valleys, delays, disappointments, and silent seasons, asking when things would finally shift. But God has chosen this very moment to announce that your chapter of struggle is closing. The long night is over, and a new dawn is breaking open. Because there comes a sacred moment in every life when God steps in and nothing remains the same. There comes a moment when the winds that once blew against you begin to blow in your favor. That moment is not tomorrow. It is not next week. It is now. God has seen your pain, your prayers, your perseverance, and your faith. Even when it felt like no one else did, He has been silent. Not because He forgot you, but because He was preparing something far greater than you imagined. And today, His divine decree is being released over your life. It is your turn. Your turnaround has arrived, Neil. For a long time, you may have been waiting, hoping, crying behind closed doors, wondering if heaven heard your cries. But let me tell you this, not a single tear you shed was wasted. God collected them all. Not a single prayer you whispered in the dark went unheard. God recorded them all. Every silent battle, every sleepless night, every painful moment when you wanted to give up, all of it was leading to this divine announcement. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. You are not being abandoned. You are being positioned. You see, when God gets ready to turn your situation around, He doesn't need permission from anyone. He doesn't check with the opinions of people or the predictions of your enemies or the limitations of your past. When God says it's your time, no force in the universe can hold you back. You may have been overlooked, misunderstood, or underestimated by people. But when God steps in, everything changes. One act of God can do what years of effort could not. One divine word can shift everything that's been against you. I don't know what you've been facing. Maybe it's sickness. Maybe it's financial pressure. Maybe it's betrayal, loneliness, or deep discouragement. But I came to remind you that nothing is too hard for God. He can restore health. He can open doors that no human can open. He can turn enemies into stepping stones. He can raise you from the ashes and place you where you never dreamed you could stand. God specializes in sudden turnarounds. He doesn't need a long time to make things right. He only needs your faith to believe that He can. When you trust in Him, even when you cannot trace Him, when you keep walking, even when the road is unclear, when you keep sowing, even when you see no harvest, that is when heaven begins to move on your behalf. Many of you listening right now have been in a long season of waiting. You've prayed, and it seemed like nothing changed. You've worked hard, but the doors didn't open. You've tried to stay strong, but life kept knocking you down. And yet deep within, there's still a flicker of hope, a whisper that tells you something greater is coming. That whisper is not your imagination. It is the Spirit of God confirming that your time has come. The same God who turned darkness into light, who turned chaos into creation, who turned sorrow into singing. That same God is about to turn your situation around. The very area where you face the greatest opposition will become the place of your greatest testimony. The same hands that carried burdens will soon carry blessings. The same lips that prayed through tears will soon shout with joy. When God declares that your turnaround has arrived, no power of darkness can delay it. No human resistance can block it. No evil word can cancel it. The doors that were shut will open. The chains that held you down will break. The storms that raged against you will suddenly become still. Because when God speaks, creation obeys. When God moves, everything must align with His will. But hear me well, before the turnaround comes, there is always a test. Before the victory, there is always a valley. Before the dawn, there is always a night. And you, my friend, have been through your night. You've been through the valley, through the tears, through the silence, through the uncertainty. You have been tested in ways you didn't even understand. But now the testing season has done its job. It has refined you. It has humbled you. It has built endurance in you. You are no longer who you were. And now God can trust you with what is next. When God brings a turnaround, He doesn't just change your situation, He changes you. He renews your mind, strengthens your faith, and awakens your purpose. The turnaround is not only about blessings, it's about transformation. It's about God using what was meant to break you to build you instead. Every heartbreak, every closed door, every betrayal, it all shaped you for this moment. Do not be surprised when everything begins to shift suddenly. Do not be shocked when people who ignored you start noticing you. Do not be amazed when opportunities begin to chase you down. That's not coincidence. That's divine reversal. God is flipping the script. The last shall become first. The forgotten shall become favored. The broken shall become blessed. The hidden shall become honored. There are some of you who thought your life was over. You thought your best days were behind you. But God says, I am not done with you. You are still on His agenda. You are still part of His plan. The breath in your lungs is proof that heaven still has a mission for you. What you lost was not the end. It was only the setup for a greater beginning. Maybe people walked out on you. Maybe doors closed. Maybe everything fell apart. But sometimes things have to fall apart so that God can rebuild them His way. The reason you were rejected was because God was protecting you from something that would have destroyed your destiny. You didn't lose. You were redirected. Every detour had purpose. Every delay was divine, and every disappointment was preparing you for a destiny you could not yet see. Now the tables are turning. The same place where you were broken will become the place where you are blessed. The same hands that tried to push you down will have to watch God lift you up. The same people who doubted you will witness your elevation. But remember this, when God promotes you, stay humble. Don't boast about what you've achieved. Glorify the one who made it possible. Because the turnaround is not about you proving anyone wrong. It's about proving that God was right all along. Some of you have been carrying silent pain, smiling on the outside, but weeping within. You've been strong for everyone else, while secretly wondering if anyone would ever be strong for you. But God saw that. He saw every moment you held it together when you wanted to fall apart. He saw the days you woke up with no strength, but kept moving anyway. He saw the times you said, I'm fine, when your heart was breaking. And now He's saying to you, enough. Your season of sorrow is ending. Your turnaround has arrived. You are about to step into peace, after years of pressure. You are about to find rest after battles that drained your soul. You are about to experience joy that will make you forget the pain of the past. When God restores, He doesn't give you what you lost. He gives you more. He multiplies it. He gives you double for your trouble, beauty for ashes, strength for weakness, and laughter for tears. Some of you have been living under guilt, shame, or regret. You keep replaying what went wrong, blaming yourself for what you couldn't fix. But hear this. God does not define you by your failures. He defines you by His mercy. The turnaround is not only external, it's internal. It's time to forgive yourself. It's time to release what no longer serves you. It's time to stand tall and believe again. God is not limited by your past. He can make your next chapter so powerful that it erases the pain of the previous one. He can make your future so bright that you forget the darkness behind you. So stop rehearsing your defeats and start declaring your destiny. You have cried long enough. You have waited long enough. You have suffered long enough. The heavens have issued a decree. Your turnaround has arrived. There is power in your words. Start speaking what God has declared. Stop saying I'm stuck and start saying I'm being set up for something greater. Stop saying I can't and start saying God can. Stop saying it's over and start saying it's just beginning. Because what you declare with faith aligns your life with divine purpose. God honors words spoken in faith. And today, your words can activate your turnaround. Let no one convince you that it's too late. God is not bound by time. He can do in one moment what men could not do in a lifetime. Abraham waited years. Joseph was forgotten in a prison. Moses wandered in the desert. But when their moment came, it came suddenly, and so will yours. God has not forgotten your name. He has not forgotten your prayers. He has not forgotten your efforts. He has not forgotten your tears. The same God who turned dry bones into an army, who split the sea for His people, who brought water from a rock, that same God is moving right now for you. You may not see it yet, but the shift has already begun in the unseen realm. And when it manifests, it will not be small. It will be undeniable. The turnaround will be so great that even your enemies will say, surely God has done this. You won't have to fight for recognition or beg for opportunities. Favor will find you. People will ask, how did it happen so fast? And you will simply say, God did it. You are about to experience open doors where there were walls. You are about to walk into opportunities that were once locked. You are about to rise to levels you didn't even imagine. And when it happens, give all glory to God. Because when He lifts you to be a light. Not just for yourself, but for others still in darkness. Your turnaround is not just for your comfort. It's for your calling. God is blessing you so that you can bless others. He is lifting you so that you can lift others. He is turning your pain into purpose. The very thing that broke you will become the thing that empowers you to heal others. The same valley you walk through will become your testimony ground. When God declares a turnaround, it is not a whisper lost in the wind. It is a command that echoes through the heavens, the earth, and every corner of your destiny. It shakes the foundations of what held you bound. It overturns the decisions made against you. It confuses the plans of your enemies. It brings clarity to what once was chaos. When God speaks, even time must obey. The years you thought were wasted begin to bear fruit. The opportunities you thought were gone start knocking again. Because when God declares something, His word cannot return empty. It must accomplish what He sent it to do. Many people lose hope because they believe that too much time has passed. They think their chance is gone, that their mistakes have disqualified them, that their age has limited them, or that their strength has faded. But hear me. When God steps in, He restores not only your blessings, but also your lost time. He redeems the years that were stolen, the seasons that were barren, the days that were heavy. He multiplies what remains and gives it power to make up for what was lost. What took others 10 years to accomplish, God can cause you to achieve in one. What seemed impossible yesterday becomes a testimony today. Because God does not need time to bless you. He simply speaks and it happens. Sometimes God allows long waiting seasons, not because He forgot you, but because He was aligning everything perfectly. He was shaping your character so that when the blessing arrives, it does not destroy you. He was preparing your heart to receive what He is now ready to release. You are hidden for a reason. God was protecting you while He worked behind the scenes. He kept you away from certain people because they could not handle the version of you that is about to emerge. You may have felt isolated, but in truth, you are being incubated, developed in divine silence. For a glorious unveiling, there comes a moment when God says, "Enough delay, it is time." When that moment arrives, everything changes. You will look back and see how every disappointment was direction, how every detour was destiny, how every delay was divine design. The pain you endured was not in vain. It was the soil in which your purpose was planted. And now that purpose is beginning to bloom. You are stepping into the season where what you carried in faith will finally manifest before your eyes. Your turnaround will not always come in the way you expect. God often disguises His breakthroughs inside of breakdowns. He hides blessings inside of battles. What looks like the end may actually be the doorway to a new beginning. The situation that hurt you most may be the one that propels you into purpose. You prayed for change, but God first changed you. And now the new version of you is ready to receive what the old version could not handle. Some of you have been holding on by a thread, wondering why God has been silent. But silence from God does not mean absence. It means construction. While you thought nothing was happening, heaven was rearranging everything. God was aligning people, preparing opportunities, moving mountains, and creating pathways you could not see. Just because it was unseen doesn't mean it was inactive. God does His best work in secret. And now He is about to make public what He has been perfecting in private. You must understand the enemy always fights hardest right before the turnaround. The moment you feel the most pressure, the moment it feels like all hope is gone, that is often the sign that the breakthrough is near. The darkest hour always comes before dawn. So, if you are feeling weary, hold on. Don't give up right before the moment God turns it around. You've come too far to quit now. The same God who brought you through will bring you out. And when God brings you out, He will not return you to where you were. He will elevate you higher. You will not go back to the same position, the same circle, or the same level. God never restores you to where you used to be. He restores you to where you are destined to be. You are stepping into a chapter where you will no longer chase blessings. Blessings will chase you. You will no longer struggle for peace. Peace will dwell within you. You will no longer beg for love. God will surround you with people who honor and value you. There is a reason you face so many trials before this moment. The greater the calling, the greater the conflict. God was allowing your strength to be tested, your faith to be purified, your endurance to be proven. Because what is coming requires a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of you. The turnaround you are stepping into is not small. It is monumental. It will be so evident that people will not be able to deny that God's hand is upon your life. Do not fear the size of the blessing. Do not doubt your readiness. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He has already equipped you for what's ahead. You may not feel ready, but God knows you are. You may not see how, but He already prepared the way. The path you're about to walk will require faith, not familiarity. Trust Him even when it feels uncertain. Remember, God did not bring you this far to leave you. Now there are moments when God will close every door. No, not because He is punishing you, but because He is forcing you to rely completely on Him. Sometimes He removes all other options so that when the turnaround comes, you will know it was Him alone who made it happen. When you have no one to call, no way to turn, no strength to stand, that is when His power is most visible. That's when you realize that human help is limited, but divine help is limitless. Your turnaround will also reveal true hearts around you. When God begins to bless you, watch carefully who rejoices and who resents. Blessings expose loyalty. Some people were comfortable with you when you were struggling, but your elevation will make them uncomfortable. Don't be surprised when some distance themselves. It's God's way of filtering your circle. He is removing those who can't celebrate your success so that you can move forward in peace. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not apologize for God's favor upon your life. You paid a price in tears, in faith, in perseverance. You endured seasons others would not have survived. You deserve to stand tall in the victory God has given you. The turnaround is not arrogance. It is evidence of divine mercy. It is proof that when God decides to lift someone, no force can stop Him. And remember this, the turnaround is not always instant, but it is inevitable. You might not wake up tomorrow and see everything fixed, but the process has begun. The shift is already in motion. The key is to walk by faith, not by sight. Keep thanking God even before you see the results. Gratitude unlocks more grace. When you praise God in the middle of your process, you speed up your progress because faith is not waiting for evidence. Faith is walking as if the promise is already fulfilled. Sometimes God tests whether you will still worship Him when the waiting is long. Will you still believe when you cannot see? Will you still praise when you feel empty? Those moments of unseen faith are what move heaven, because anyone can praise God when things are going well. But it takes true trust to praise Him when you're surrounded by uncertainty. And it's that kind of faith that provokes a turnaround. Your turnaround may not only affect you, it may change generations. The decisions you make now, the prayers you've been praying, the battles you've been fighting, are not just for you. They are for those who will come after you. You are breaking cycles that bound your family for years. You are opening doors that others couldn't open. You are the chosen one in your bloodline that God is using to shift everything. Your turnaround is generational. It will echo through your lineage. So walk boldly. You have endured the fire, and now you will shine like gold. The same God who allowed you to go through pain is the same God who will turn that pain into purpose. Nothing you have gone through will be wasted. Every scar tells a story of survival. Every loss taught you a lesson. Setback prepared you for a comeback. You are stronger than you think because God has been your strength all along. You are entering a season where things will align without struggle. You will speak and doors will open. You will move and paths will clear. You will ask and answers will come. This is not luck. It's divine orchestration. It's God fulfilling His word that your turnaround has arrived. And when it arrives, stay grounded. Remember how far you've come. Remember the nights you prayed for what you now hold. Remember to give thanks not just for what God gives, but for who He is. Because true turnaround is not just about material blessings, it's about spiritual awakening. It's about realizing that your strength, your success, your survival all came from Him. The old version of you had to die for the new one to rise. The doubt had to fade for faith to reign. The fear had to break for courage to bloom. The pain had to pierce you so that humility could shape you. Now you are ready. You are aligned. You are standing on holy ground, the threshold of divine turnaround. There comes a moment in life when God chooses to rewrite your story. Not with fading ink, but with eternal authority that no hand can undo. You have walked through storms meant to break you, yet those very storms uncovered the strength that could not be shaken within you. The reason you still stand today is not because the road was gentle, but because God held you firm when you had no strength left to stand. Every trial, every delay, every pain was part of God's quiet training ground, refining your faith and deepening your trust. Now the preparation is finished. The season of endurance has closed and the season of transformation has begun. When God calls forth a turnaround, it is never a simple change in circumstances. Is seen as a divine shift in dimension. You move from being a survivor to being a victor. You move from enduring to enjoying. You move from pain to purpose, from confusion to clarity, from silence to songs of gratitude. God does not merely restore what was taken. He multiplies it. He brings increase where there was lack, light where there was darkness, and peace where there was turmoil. When God moves, He does not do half a miracle. He finishes what He begins. There are moments when you will look around and not recognize your life because everything has changed so quickly. That is the signature of God. He does in a moment what seemed impossible for a lifetime. He doesn't need to explain himself. His works speak louder than words, and when he moves, those who doubted you will stand silent, unable to deny that only God could have done it. You may not have realized it, but even in your wilderness, God was building something inside you that could not be destroyed. A faith that no storm could drown, a strength that no betrayal could break, a peace that no chaos could steal. You thought you were losing, but you were gaining endurance. You thought you were forgotten, but you were being fortified. God never wastes pain. He converts it into power. When you walk through fire and come out without being consumed, you begin to understand that it was never the fire that made you strong. It was the God who walked with you through it. Every scar becomes a reminder that you were carried, not crushed. And now, as God declares your turnaround, you are stepping into a level of resilience and wisdom you never knew you had. The turnaround of God is not just for comfort, it's for calling. When God blesses you, it is not simply to make your life easier, it is to make your life useful. You become a vessel of inspiration to others who are still in the struggle. Your story becomes the evidence that God is faithful. People will look at you and find hope because they will see what God can do with someone who refused to give up. Do not underestimate what God can do in one act of obedience. Sometimes your entire destiny can shift because of one decision to trust God when it makes no sense. You may not understand what He is doing, but faith is not about understanding. It is about surrender. It is about saying, God, I don't see the path, but I know you made one. And when you walk by that kind of faith, you unlock blessings that were waiting for your courage to believe. There are some turnarounds that begin quietly. You may not feel the wind. You may not see the movement. But deep in the unseen, God is rearranging everything. You start to notice small changes. A closed door suddenly opens. A forgotten opportunity reappears. A burden lifts. A sense of peace returns. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are signs that God's hand is actively turning your story in your favor. Sometimes God allows everything around you to collapse just to prove that He is your foundation. He strips away the false support so that when He blesses you, you know that it was never people, never luck, never chance. It was always Him. That's why you cannot panic when everything falls apart. Often destruction is the doorway to divine construction. God tears down what was built on sand so He can rebuild you on solid ground. You have to stop fearing endings, because in God's hands, endings are never final. They are transitions. The closing of one chapter means the birth of another. What looks like loss is often preparation for a greater gain. So don't mourn what left you. Celebrate what's coming. God removes what is less so He can make room for what is best. The turnaround God is bringing is not just external. It begins within your heart. He is turning your worry into worship, your anxiety into assurance, your fear into faith. The greatest miracle is not what happens around you, but what happens inside you when you realize that God is still in control. The moment you stop fighting for control and start trusting His plan, peace floods your soul. That peace is proof that your turnaround has begun. You are about to see how God wastes nothing. Every person who walked away, every season that broke you, every dream that seemed delayed, all of it is being woven into the masterpiece of your destiny. You will look back and say, now I understand why it had to happen this way. Because God never allows pain without purpose. And He never ends a story in defeat when He has written victory in your name. Even now, the wind of change is blowing in your direction. What once worked against you will start to work for you. The very people who ignored you will be used to elevate you. The resources that seemed out of reach will begin to find you. The path that was blocked will suddenly clear. That's what happens when God declares a turnaround. Natural laws bend, closed doors unlock, and impossible situations bow to His will. You cannot explain divine timing, but you can recognize it. When your time comes, everything begins to align. The calls you've been waiting for, the opportunities you prayed about, the peace you long for, they all start showing up effortlessly. It's as if the universe itself conspires to fulfill what God has already decided. Because when God ordains a thing, nothing can oppose it. Do not measure your future by your current situation. What you see is temporary. What God has spoken is eternal. The same ground that looked barren yesterday will bloom tomorrow, because God's word has been planted in it. He can make rivers flow in deserts and gardens bloom in wasteland. What looks dead to man is alive in the hands of God. If you've been overlooked, rejoice. It means God was reserving you. The reason you were hidden is because you are chosen. And when the appointed time comes, no one can take your place. Your name will be mentioned in rooms you have never entered. Your work will speak for itself even when your voice is silent. Because when God promotes, He doesn't need human validation. His favor is the only qualification you need. You are not defined by what you lost. You are defined by what God is about to restore. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the evidence of God's mercy. You are not where you used to be because you are under divine reconstruction. The old has passed away not by your strength, but by God's grace. You have endured the breaking, and now you will experience the blessing. Sometimes the turnaround of God is so great that it frightens those who never expected you to rise. But don't let their surprise distract you. Keep your focus upward. The same God who lifted you will sustain you. You don't need to defend your blessing. God Himself will defend His word concerning you. Those who mocked your faith will witness your fulfillment. Remember, every turnaround comes with a responsibility to remain grateful, to remain humble, and to remember who brought you out. Pride kills blessings faster than adversity. When you reach the top, bow your heart in gratitude. When you receive abundance, remember the days of lack. When you feel strong, remember the nights when only God carried you. Gratitude keeps the door of favor open. Let your turnaround be your testimony. Speak of it boldly. Tell others how God lifted you from places you thought you'd never escape. Tell them how He provided when everything ran out. How He calmed your fears when no one understood. how he restored your faith when you felt forgotten. You don't have to preach. Your life will become the sermon. Every victory will declare God is faithful. And if you are listening to this now and still waiting for your own turnaround, take heart. Just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. The silence of God is often the final test before the miracle. Stay faithful in the in-between. Keep doing good. Keep believing even when you feel weary. Because the turnaround of God doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just appears suddenly, powerfully, unmistakably. In one moment, what was empty will overflow. What was heavy will be lifted. What was broken will be made whole. What was closed will open because God has spoken. And when he speaks, creation must obey. You are not forgotten. You are favored. You are standing on the edge of something extraordinary. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a divine reversal that will astonish even you. When God speaks of a turnaround, he is not talking about a minor change or a temporary relief. He is declaring a divine reversal, a shift so great that everything that once stood against you begins to work in your favor. When God says your turnaround has arrived, the storm that once terrified you will now testify for you. The same valley that once drained your strength will become the place where your faith is crowned with glory. God is not finished with you. He is only preparing to reveal what has been hidden behind your pain. You see, when God moves, he doesn't need permission from your enemies, approval from your past, or agreement from your surroundings. When he declares that your season has changed, no one, not even the gates of darkness, can keep it from happening. The world may have labeled you by your failures, but God calls you by your future. The enemy might have whispered that it's over, but God declares that it has only just begun. There is power in the Word of God. And when he speaks into your situation, reality must bow. The laws of nature must align. The hearts of people must shift, and the very atmosphere begins to respond. That's what divine turnaround looks like. It's not human. It's heavenly. It's not gradual. It's supernatural. You cannot explain it. You can only witness it. For too long you've carried burdens that were never yours to bear. You've cried tears that God has seen, though no one else understood. You've waited through seasons of silence, where nothing seemed to move. But hear this. Every delay had divine purpose. God was not punishing you. He was positioning you. He was not ignoring you. He was preparing the path ahead. Sometimes the greatest proof of God's favor is not in what he gives, but in what he withholds until you are ready to carry it. Your turnaround is not coming from luck, but from the deliberate, loving plan of God, who knows exactly when to release your breakthrough. When God decides to turn your life around, he doesn't just fix the surface. He transforms the foundation. He rebuilds your character, strengthens your spirit, and sharpens your discernment. He ensures that when he lifts you, you are not the same person who fell, because the turnaround of God is not about returning to where you were. It's about rising to who you were meant to become. The valley taught you humility. The storm taught you endurance, and the pain taught you wisdom. Now all those lessons are about to pay off. God never wastes the suffering of those who trust him. Every sleepless night, every silent prayer, every moment of discouragement, he counted them. And now he is about to reward your faithfulness. Your turnaround begins the moment you stop seeing your situation through the lens of fear and start seeing it through the eyes of faith. You must stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring with God, "Even this will turn in my favor." Because faith is not about ignoring the pain. It's about believing that God has already written the victory beyond it. The very place of your disappointment is becoming the birthplace of your destiny. When you least expect it, God turns it. When everyone doubts it, God proves it. When the world walks away, God steps in. When the world walks away, God steps in. And when he steps in, he brings divine acceleration. What took others years will happen for you in moments. What doors were shut for decades will suddenly open. What was impossible in the eyes of man will become undeniable proof that God is still in control. Your turnaround will not come through connections or cleverness. It will come through divine intervention. God can use a stranger to bless you, a problem to elevate you, or even an enemy to push you into purpose. He can make the least likely situation become the launching pad for your greatest victory. Some of you are standing at the edge of despair thinking it's the end, but in reality it's the turning point. God often allows you to reach your lowest point before he reveals his highest plan. He lets certain things fall apart so that nothing can take credit when he puts them back together. You might have thought God was silent, but he was working in the unseen. Just because you didn't see progress doesn't mean he wasn't building it. The walls of Jericho didn't fall when they shouted. They fell because they had walked in obedience long enough. Your obedience has been heard by God, and the walls around your blessing are about to crumble. When God declares that your turnaround has arrived, your enemies will be confused. Those who spoke against you will witness your rise and not understand how it happened. Those who mocked your waiting will marvel at your winning, because the power of God doesn't need explanation. It demands recognition. People won't be able to deny that it was God who lifted you. He will restore not only what you lost, but also your reputation, your peace, your dignity, and your confidence. He will remind the world that his hand is not too short to save, and his promise is never too late to fulfill. But before the turnaround manifests in the physical, it must be accepted in the spiritual. You must believe it before you see it. You must walk as if the door is already open. Speak as if the healing is already done. And praise as if the victory has already been won. Because when God declares a turnaround, faith is the key that unlocks it. The moment you shift your words from complaint to declaration, from fear to faith, you align yourself with the movement of God. He is not waiting for the situation to change. He is waiting for your heart to believe. There are seasons when God delays your turnaround to mature your trust. He removes the crutches that you depended on so that you learn to lean only on him. He allows betrayal to reveal who is truly for you. He lets doors close so you stop begging for what was never meant for you. God's delay is not denial. It's divine discipline to strengthen your spiritual vision. When he finally turns it around, you will realize why it couldn't have happened any sooner. Because if it did, You might have settled for something less than his best. And now, as this word echoes in your heart, let it awaken your spirit to expect divine movement. Look around you at everything that once looked dead is stirring with new life. The wind of God is blowing upon your dry places. Opportunities are shifting toward your name. Favor is chasing you down. What was stolen is being restored. The very season that broke you is becoming the season that builds you. God is writing your turnaround story in real time, and soon everyone who doubted will witness it with their own eyes. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are chosen for transformation. You are standing at the edge of a divine announcement. Your turnaround has arrived. Lift your head, strengthen your faith, and declare it. Not because of what you feel, but because of what God has already declared. The same God who opened the sea for his people will open the way for you. The same God who turned darkness into light will turn your sorrow into joy. When he moves, nothing can stand in his way. Tables are turning. The tears are ending. The dawn is breaking. God has spoken. Your turnaround is here. And now, as we draw to a close, let this truth settle deep in your spirit. When God declares your turnaround, it is not a suggestion. It is a decree from the throne of heaven. No force on earth, no opposition, no delay, no whisper of doubt can cancel what God has spoken. When he commands a new season, creation itself rearranges to obey his word. Every obstacle becomes an instrument. Every battle becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a setup for something greater. You have come too far to give up now. You've cried too long, waited too faithfully, and endured too much for this to be the end. This is the beginning of something holy, something divine, something only God could orchestrate. Lift your eyes and see beyond what surrounds you. God is moving in ways you cannot see. He is turning hearts in your favor, aligning events that will suddenly open doors and clearing paths that were once blocked. You stand on the threshold of fulfillment, not by chance, but through the unshakable faithfulness of God. The same power that hung the stars in the sky is now moving within your life. The same wisdom that shaped creation is authoring your story. The same mercy that carried you through your darkest nights is now calling forth your brightest dawn. So never question the timing of God. What once appeared as delay was divine preparation. What felt like silence was sacred alignment. God never hurries what he is perfecting, and you are his masterpiece. Your breakthrough will not arrive too early or too late. It will unfold exactly when heaven declares now. And when that moment comes, it will be unmistakable. Peace will outweigh every pain. The reward will outshine every season of waiting. And the glory of God will rise above every struggle that once tried to hold you down.